Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Ask the Chief on Santa Monica City TV. This is your chance to ask Santa Monica Police Chief Jacqueline Seabrooks all of your questions on any topic you want. Chief, welcome back to Studio 16.
Well, thank you for having me.
You ready for any topic you want?
Well, just within reason.
Within reason, absolutely. I do want to remind our viewers that we are actually live, so any questions from callers, we're going to take those live. We also do have a whole bunch of questions that we received through email, through social media in advance, so we're going to try to get to as many of those as we can. But of course, our first topic is a very important one, the Metro Exposition Light Rail Line. I know you guys have been planning this big time. Are you excited about it? Or are you a little bit nervous about it?
Well, the police chief is never nervous.
Okay, good.
But I'm actually very excited, as are the men and women of the police department. We're welcoming, as a community, the return of light rail after some 60 years. So it's a reason to be excited. We're going to have 3 platforms in the city. And so that represents a lot of opportunity for people to come and experience Santa Monica who might not ordinarily just hop on the freeway to do it just because of traffic congestion. So we're very excited about the possibilities. Over the last 2 years, we've really been engaging in in-depth planning, and we've repositioned some of our resources with a growth plan in anticipation of all of those wonderful people that live in places farther than Santa Monica. We're preparing for their eventual visits to Santa Monica so they can have a safe and wonderful time here.
So how much preparation goes into that? Because streets are changing, stoplights are changing, the traffic patterns will change.
And all you've mentioned is what the city is doing. Now, a lot of the different departments are doing different things. Big Blue Bus is doing different things, what with rerouting and creating opportunities for people to move from the rail line to various other locales within the city. The police department has repositioned resources. We've redefined our patrol structure to accommodate at ground level bifurcation of the city. So we want to make sure that people can feel comfortable about the police department's ability to consistently respond to those emergencies, despite the fact that there'll be 2 trains passing by every 6 to 8 minutes.
Okay, and let's talk about safety and safety tips. What should the public know for people who are commuters, drivers, pedestrians, cyclists?
Well, the big thing is to be safe around the rail lines and to be sure that we obey all of the traffic laws that are in place. And some of the things that we see people doing, turning left across the tracks, well, we want to be thoughtful about that and not do it. We want to not try to rush when the arms come down to signal the arrival, the passing of a train. We don't want people driving through that and around that. We also want people to be very, very careful about walking on the tracks because the trains are fairly silent. They're electric, so a train can be within a hazardous distance, and folks with their earphones and being on the phone and other life's distractions may not be aware of that, and there can be tragic consequences as a result. So we really have engaged as the police department in a very strong campaign in conjunction with Metro to make sure that there's a level of public awareness about safety on the train, on the pedestrian platforms,
right.
And then equally for motorists.
Yeah, so actually you mentioned the headphones. Everybody on the bus, on the train wears, noise canceling headphones. They've got the music cranked up. Anything in particular when you're riding the train or when you're getting on and off the train that we need to worry about in the 3 stops in Santa Monica?
Sure, I would say this. The big thing is situational awareness, and that's no matter where you are, whether you're walking down the street, riding a bicycle, on a skateboard, etc. I think it's important for people to be thoughtful about their surroundings, and sometimes you can hear issues that need your attention, but when you've got your earbuds in and they're cranked up, you can kind of miss those auditory cues that would give you pause to take a different course of action. So, we want people to be thoughtful, we want them to enjoy the experience, but we also want them to be aware, because that awareness helps them to be less likely to be a victim of what I call coincidental crime.
Right. And, you could, as a very simple thing, you could fall off the platform if you're not paying attention.
Sure.
It's a few feet high and
Sure.
so on. This is a question that I have heard from a few people. Is this a real concern? People are talking about, could there be an increase in possibly crime because of people coming in from all different types of communities all over Southern California on the train? Is there any statistics to bear that out, or do you ever get questions like that?
I get questions like that all the time, and I think the challenge becomes this. Anytime there's something new can beget a level of fear and concern that people have about the things that they're concerned about naturally. Now, we have statistics that show that our community is as safe as it's been since roughly 1956.
Wow.
So I don't envision that there's going to be this rampant set of circumstances that needs to evoke a level of concern in the community beyond what's already there. Now, that's not to say we will be crime-free, because technically there's no such thing as crime-free. And there will be those people who seek to take advantage of people who don't have the requisite situational awareness. Translation, there'll be people who are sitting on the train, they're reading their iPads, they're reading off their phones, they're listening to the music, and they're not paying attention to what's going on. And there'll be that person who looks to be an opportunist, take advantage of that, snatch an iPad, snatch a purse, snatch a phone, and run off into, wherever they might run off into. And so what we want people to do is to be aware of the potential for that. But then by the same token, do I think that people are going to come into the community, rob banks or other sites and then hop on the train?
Right.
Now, as soon as I say that, there will be someone who does it, and then we'll be there to catch them and
Good
then
for
invite
you.
them into our facility and show them.
Give them a tour.
That's right. Give them 3 hots and a cot, as we say.
Right. Well, and I ride the bus at least 5 times a week probably, and I have never personally felt threatened.
Good.
Of course, I'm a 6 foot tall male, so I'm sure it may be different for women. But yeah, situational awareness I think is absolutely the key in that regard.
Well, let me say this: I'm a 5'5" woman, and I feel safe riding on the train, on the bus, and I do it in Los Angeles and elsewhere, and I've never had a problem. And yes, I know I'm the police chief.
And you carry a gun.
Sometimes, but sometimes not.
Right.
And so, equally, I think, it's easy to get caught up in the frenzy of something new and what that means. But I think if people are very, very thoughtful, that's less likely to be the issue. Now, if you see something, say something and report it. And because of the partnership that we'll have with the Sheriff's Department in keeping the train itself and the adjacent areas safe, there won't be a problem.
Okay, Chief, I want to take a quick moment to remind our viewers that our phone lines are open. Folks, we are live right now, so if you have a question for the Chief, please call 310-458-4950. All topics are welcome, from parking tickets to public safety. We want to hear from you. Maybe not parking tickets. Well, we'll see. But this is going to be a lot of fun. And right now I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about SMPD. Is it true you guys are actively recruiting new officers and you're in a hiring mode?
Yes, we are. The police department is allocated roughly at about 224 police officers, and we're currently staffed with about 204 police officers, and that's from my rank at the police chief on down to the line level patrol officer. Currently, we have about 20 vacancies, but the complexity of the hiring process and the fact that we have quite a number of our employees who are eligible for retirement and who have voiced an intent to retire within the next year gives you, community members, an opportunity to come join us and help keep our community safe.
So how does an officer get hired? Walk me through the process.
Okay, well, briefly, there's a written examination. There's the application, of course, and then there's the written examination. There's a physical agility, because we need people who can be in condition, because the police academy is one of the end results before being appointed to permanency as a police officer. There's a background investigation. There's polygraph, medical, physical, psychological screening. So there's a number of pre-employment prerequisites that must be met, and then we send you to a 6-month police academy where you learn all of the basics.
Wow.
After academy graduation, you come back to the police department, and for another 6 months, under the tutelage of senior police officers, you get on-the-job training. And then after that period of time, you're sent out to go forth and fight crime and the fear of crime in our community.
Okay, so like when you have openings like this, do you get like 1,000 applications for 20 spots? Is it that competitive or
It
not?
is that competitive.
Wow.
This most recent process that we had, we received, I believe it was 720 applications. By the time we got to the physical component, there were 300 applications, and now we're down to something in the area of about 120. And we're still, the process is ongoing. And for that reason, we're exploring other opportunities, because this is not just a Santa Monica challenge. It's a regional challenge for law enforcement. We're at that stage in the profession where there's a turnover of generations. So a number of people, no matter the department, are moving into retirement, and this creates opportunities in a vast number of organizations. And so we're competing with our larger colleagues, or colleagues from larger agencies.
Right.
We're also competing with smaller agencies. And we want to get the cream of the crop, so we are going to move to a continuous testing process.
Okay, so any insider tips? I mean, when you're filling out that application, or when you're going through the screening process, what are the things that you're looking for?
Well, we're looking for people who are of good moral character, who want to make a difference in the community, who understand the dynamics of Santa Monica and the wonderful beach community that we are. We prefer people who are outgoing, and then equally in good physical condition, who have an academic orientation because the rigors of the written exam, but equally of the police academy, and then the subsequent work that we do. It requires, a level of intellect, and so we're looking for that. So if you're smart, you're in shape, you want to work in a beach community where we're well paid and we have great benefits, you need to check us out on our website, which is www.santamonicapd.org, or you can call our personnel and training resource development section, and they'll provide information on testing, because we'll be doing continuous testing, and we're about to enter a new testing cycle. You looking for a job?
What's that?
You looking for a job?
I don't think I'm in good enough shape. I really don't think I
Well,
can
if you
do
stay in shape, you don't have to get in shape. And what did you tell me a few minutes ago? You're like 6 foot what?
Yeah, well, I don't know.
We pay good.
I think it would be a great job. I think it's a fabulous job. And that's why I want to follow up with a couple more, because I think people are really interested in this. The very first step is to go to the website and get on the application process?
I would say take a look at our website, because there's a lot of information about the police department contained on the website. Okay. I'd also say for those tech savvy folks, do a Google search and learn about the city of Santa Monica, learn about the police department, and then take a look at our website, because when you look more closely, we have information about what the testing process is. So there's information about the written examination. There's information about what the physical agility testing consists of, which is push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, a 1.5 mile run that you have to do for time in order to earn a passing score. So this way the process can be demystified for the candidate. There's an interview process with professional staff in the police department, so that we can gauge all of those factors that we deem important. And then we move you into backgrounds from there, where we take a look at what's been your employment history, what's been your college experience, what's been your military history, if that's applicable. We look at all of those things to make sure that we're getting well-rounded, good people to join our organization. And then from there, there's an interview with me and one of the other executives, where we ask additional questions, because we want to make sure that the fit's right. It's an interview of us by the candidate, and it's an interview by us of the candidate. Yeah. And then from there, a selection is made, and the person's appointed to the police academy, which is 6 months of quasi-boot camp-like college instruction.
Where is that?
That's down in Orange County.
Okay. Are there any regional concerns with police recruiting?
Well, just the idea that we're competing with a number of other police agencies. We all want the top-notch recruits. And it's not to say that some recruits are better than others. It's just to say that there's a certain type of officer that we're looking for, because the style of policing that we do here in Santa Monica is very community focused. We have a very high tourist population, as you know, and so we want people who are able to get out and engage and who are comfortable doing that. Right. But then equally, who, in addition to being that guardian, can put on that warrior hat when the circumstances warrant, go out there and take care of the business that is part of keeping a community safe.
Right. Every time I see Santa Monica police officers, I always say hi and have a quick chat. They're so friendly. They answer any question you have. They're like very well trained. Clearly.
Well, I think at the end of the day, it's also the persona that, in terms of the people that we hire, right. Because that's what we look to. We want people who make the visitors and residents and business owners in our community feel comfortable, and also feel confident that when the situation is such that policing services of the warrior type are needed, we're ready to go to work. But that's not where we need to be every day.
Right, for sure. One more and final question on that. You, I believe, are one of only 25 women police chiefs in the state of California. Is that about right?
That's about right, yes.
There are not that many.
No.
Out of hundreds, probably, right?
We have I believe there's 334 police chiefs, municipal police chiefs in the state. And yes, I am one of about 24, 25. And most recently, I'm now one of, I believe, 4 in the county, because Beverly Hills recently hired Sandra Spagnoli from up north. So she just started in Beverly Hills not too long ago. And then we have Eve Irvine over in Manhattan Beach, Sharon Papa in Hermosa Beach, and then me here in Santa Monica. And then you have to go down into Orange County to find more.
So very quickly, then, do you recommend women pursue a career in law enforcement?
You didn't just ask me that. Well, of course.
Well, there seems like it's mostly men, though.
Well, you know, that's just because I think what's happened is when I first got into the profession in 1982, or excuse me, 1981, I came to Santa Monica in 1982, I think it was very different. And then it was clearly a male-dominated field. Right. At all levels. And I think what's happened now, women have been in the profession, on patrol, being exposed to the array of assignments that are necessary to build that skill set. And we're now matriculating into the higher echelons of management to include police chiefing. I always say that in 2000, I never knew I was going to be a police chief, and in 2007, I was a police chief, and in 2016, I am a police chief. Awesome. And so the opportunities for women to move up the ranks, it's one of these things, it's a personal choice. But it's certainly not closed for the person who exerts the appropriate leadership, has the appropriate academic foundation, has the appropriate operational experience and administrative experience. And I recommend it for anybody.
Excellent. Are you ready to take our first live caller?
Sure.
All right. I believe we have Steve on the phone. Steve calling in. You're on with the chief, with Ask the Chief. So, Steve, go ahead with your question.
Hi, Steve.
Hi.
Hi, Steve.
Hi, Chief. This is Steve. I was wondering if maybe you might tell us what it's really like to be a police officer. Give us some idea of what a typical day is like for your officers.
Sure. A typical day in the life of a Santa Monica police officer, depending on shift, can start as early as 6 o'clock in the morning. It can start either at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or as late as 6:30 in the evening. We work 3 12-and-a-half-hour shifts in a work week, and that's at a minimum because there's always the opportunity for extension of shift. We start the day with a briefing wherein we receive information about what's been happening in the overnight and a recap of what's happened during the week so that officers go out in the field with a purpose. Our objectives for the organization are to address crime, the fear of crime, social disorder, and also to engage our community, to engage our youth, and also clearly to enforce traffic and pedestrian violations with an eye toward those things that could potentially be life-threatening. So with that in mind, the officers go out, they handle 911 calls, they handle routine calls for service that can range from noisy wind chimes all the way up to in-progress robberies and things like that. And the expectation is they go out, they carry out their duties with professionalism, with a smile, and getting the job done effectively. They write police reports, do all variety of things, and every now and then have a few minutes for lunch.
Do these officers really enjoy police work?
I would hope so.
This is like their passion, I guess?
You don't come into this work unless you have a passion for aspects of the work. And by that I mean there are folks who come because they really want to make a difference in a community. They really want to stand up for and defend the principles that are articulated in the Constitution of the United States, because that's what we do. They really have a strong sense of fairness and equity and ethics and all of that. So it's really difficult to come to work and serve other people if you're really not committed to those principles, because the people that we interact with don't always want to see us. They're not always happy to see us. Right. So with that in mind, you really have to be committed to that greater good. And I'm proud to say that the men and women of Santa Monica Police Department are absolutely committed to that, whether they are our sworn police officers or there are more critical and crucial civilian support.
Fantastic. And just one more quick follow-up on that. Ongoing training, is that something that all the officers have to do every year? Absolutely.
And it's twofold. The state requires that on an annual basis our police officers get 24 hours every 2 years they get 24 hours of additional training. The Santa Monica Police Department prides itself, and I pride the organization on the fact that we're committed to ongoing professional development. So we don't just rely on the state standard. So we ask and demand of our officers that they go through far more than just that 24 hours every 2 years. Case in point, our officers are currently going through 40 hours of advanced officer training where they cover a variety of different disciplines, from emergency driving, slow speed driving, defensive tactics, procedural justice, bias training, and a lot of, or anti-bias training is probably the more accurate phraseology. And we go through this, and that happens at the rank of police chief on down. I was just in a procedural justice class yesterday where we were talking about issues of implicit bias and how, as as an executive, it's my obligation to ensure that we are policing in a way that meets the procedural justice standards.
Chief, thank you so much. This is great information. We do have to take a quick break, though, and I just want to thank you so much for taking all the questions from our live callers as well. When we come back, we have some important questions for the Chief regarding events here in Santa Monica that are coming up. It's going to be a very busy summer, and you know all about it.
Yes.
So we just want to let you know you can stick around. Can you stick around for a couple
absolutely
more
can.
segments here? Okay, great. We'll be right back with more Ask the Chief.
Sometimes the simplest things in life are the most special.
I'll have mint chip and strawberry.
I can eat both of those.
With age-related macular degeneration, even a walk in the park is no walk in the park.
Here's a sign. Discovery Hill hosts more trees than any other area of the park.
Everyone over 50 is at risk.
Come to Grandpa, buddy. Great, that's it. Come on, let's go.
Early detection and treatment can mean the difference between vision and blindness. The Macular Degeneration Partnership has one focus: preserving your eyesight.
What a beautiful day.
All because of you.
Visit amd.org for more information, and please get tested.
I have invented an algorithm that will revolutionize data compression and storage.
Do you have a place to meet potential investors? Do you know how to build an app? Do you know the basics of fundraising? Or how to utilize social media? Do you even have a business plan?
Well, no.
Then why don't you just ask a librarian?
I can help with all that. Santa Monica Library, the perfect partner for your startup.
At the Boys and Girls Club of Santa Monica, we build long-lasting relationships with our kids.
Love. Friendships.
Support. Trust.
Learning.
I know, fun.
All that and a lot more.
We're not just a club. We're a family.
Great futures start here.
Choose your ride.
Hey guys, I'm Lucas Giolito.
And I'm Tyler Heineman. While we both might play in different Major League organizations,
we grew up here in Santa Monica playing Little League together.
So on behalf of the city, the Santa Monica Police Department, and your loved ones,
we urge you to make that smart choice when you go out on the town with your friends.
Have a good time, but please don't drink and drive.
We want to make sure that you get home safe every time. Choose your ride.
Welcome back to this live edition of Ask the Chief, where Santa Monica Police Chief Jacqueline Seabrooks answers your questions. If you do have a question for the Chief, please call the number on your screen, 310-458-4950. No topics are off limits. Is that right, Chief?
Well, just about.
Well, just about, all right. Hey, we appreciate the great information that you've already given us so far. I do want to switch topics now, though. May 18th, coming up later this month, is the Police Memorial.
Yes.
Tell us about this event. What is it? Why is it so important?
Well, it's our way of honoring the men and women, in our organization's case, the men who've fallen and given their lives in service of this community and have died in the line of duty. And it's important for us to remember that, because that is the ultimate sacrifice. And it's important to pay homage to that, and then to give pause and give some reflection to the importance of the work, because it is so crucial that our officers, I won't say we're willing to do that, but we understand that can be the outcome, and our families understand that can be the outcome. And so we think it appropriate to honor that sacrifice through a remembrance, and that's what we do on the 18th.
Okay, so is this an event that's open to the public? How does it work? Could people pay their respects as well, or?
Yes, they can. In the morning, we have a small ceremony, and we invite the families of our fallen to attend, and it's attended by a good cross-section of the police department and also the fire department, because we have this celebration in honor of, and celebration sounds like the wrong word, but we have this honor for both our police and firefighters. So the members of the public are certainly welcome. It's very somber, but it's not a very lengthy program. It's just an opportunity to remember, to reflect, and to understand what this circumstance means.
And how important is it to the police officers and their families?
Oh, it's hugely important. I've received letters from the family members of officers who died a number of years ago, and they're appreciative of the fact that we have not forgotten. Right. Every year we go to Sacramento. We send a contingent of officers to Sacramento because there are state celebrations, there are county celebrations, and then there are localized celebrations. And again, celebration is the wrong word, but we're celebrating the remembrance of the lives that were given in service of something bigger than just the everyday routine. So it's a great way that we show our respect to the families and then also to our fallen officers.
I have another question about the memorial, but I do believe we have another live caller. Are you ready for another live question?
Sure.
I believe we have Jennifer on the line with us. Jennifer, you are on live with the Chief. Go ahead with your question.
Hi, Chief Seabrooks. Thanks so much for doing this tonight. You know, summer is coming and there's going to be a lot of traffic downtown. I'd really love to know what the city and the police department are doing about traffic.
Well, hi, Jennifer. The city and the police department are working hand in hand with the various entities that are responsible for managing traffic in the city. We're responsible for assisting with traffic flow, circulation, and enforcement, but there's also a very significant component that the city is responsible for, which is the planning piece. So whenever we have this large-scale event or large-scale events, or we know that there's this large number of people who are visiting our community, what we try to do is to create a traffic plan that makes sense, that circulates traffic throughout the downtown to keep it moving. Now, it won't be moving quickly, but it will be moving and not just at a standstill. And we've implemented a circulation plan of this nature for the last 3 years with a level of consistency. So you'll see our traffic services out and about. You'll see more officers on bicycles and you'll see more officers on motorcycles helping to move traffic through in a circular pattern that ensures that we keep traffic moving even if it's not moving very quickly, and we call it go with the flow.
That's a great idea. Yeah, don't get upset. Don't get road rage. You're going to get there eventually, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but following up on Jennifer's question, I often see on busy weekends, like there's cones, they kind of make mandatory turn lanes, mandatory straight lanes. Officers are out in the middle of the intersections. I mean, this is a very well-planned organization, or orchestrated movement, especially on like a July 4th weekend or Memorial Day coming up.
Yes.
That's like a major planning event, right?
Yes, that's the Go With The Flow programming, because it becomes important to have very purposeful traffic movement and traffic circulation. And what we found that certain traffic movements tend to create more congestion, and so the idea is to restrict those movements, to direct traffic where we need it to go so that it can move with a different degree of regularity and certainty. Maybe not quickly, but definitely very purposefully.
We talked about this a little bit off camera, but former police chief James Keene recently passed away. Is there anything you'd like to share with the community about Chief Keene?
Yes, Chief Keene was the police chief from 1979 through 1991. He had been with the police department since 1957.
Wow.
So he recently passed away unexpectedly, and the memorial service was Sunday, May 1st. And it was wonderfully attended by current city staff and prior city staff, and people came from as far away as Florida to pay their respects to him and his family and to the commitment that he made to the city of Santa Monica in keeping it safe. And I felt honored to be able to say a few words on behalf of the police department at that service, particularly since he was the chief when I got hired initially, and he was also the chief when I received my first promotion to sergeant. So, and then his daughter is retired Police Lieutenant Santa Monica PD, Kathleen Keene, and so it was definitely a moving tribute to him, and it was really outstanding to be a part of that. And the fact that that memorial service also took place in the context of our memorial remembrance services was really good.
A long and distinguished career, and all Santa Monica residents benefited from his great work.
Yes, they did, and as did the men and women of the police department, past, present, and future, because he did leave a legacy.
Great. Chief, I just want to remind our viewers that the phone lines are open. If you have a question for the chief, please call us at 310-458-4950. All topics are welcome, from anything from what type of motorcycles do the police officers use in the SMPD to where they keep the horses, and of course, mostly public safety type questions. So we'd love to hear from you. We also do have a bunch of questions from email and social media that we're going to get to as well. I want to move on to summertime. Very busy, a lot of fun things happen in Santa Monica, but a lot of planning as well, right?
Yes, and we have a planning and intelligence unit that helps us to manage the array of activities that the city engages in, for which public safety direct service provision is required. So we have National Night Out, which starts in August. We have the 4th of July, clearly. We have Memorial Day. And then we have events like Coast, which is replacing the Santa Monica Festival, which normally happens at Clover Park. So this year we're having that. It'll be in the downtown. It'll be a very walkable event, but we have to provide public safety for that. As the Metro Rail opens for revenue service on May 20th, we will have a series of activities and events at each of the platforms that will engage aspects of the community at those points where those platforms are located. So we'll be providing public safety services for that. And so there's an array of different things. Twilight Concert Series will be resuming in the near term. And so, you know, there's a police presence there, and because of the crowds, and now once that activity resumes, we'll have Metro Rail operating, so we'll have an increased police presence, which we've been building over the last few years with a partnership with our colleagues over at the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department.
So what kind of impact do these huge public events that attract tens of thousands of people have on the department?
Well, it gives us an opportunity to take a look at the equipment that we need and to be sure that we're well prepared with all of the equipment that we need, whether it's Sky Towers, a mobile command vehicle, which we acquired, and things like that. And then equally, it causes us to be sure that we are up to date on our skill sets with respect to crowd control and management. And then it makes sure that we've got our smiles well intact and in place to greet all of the people who are going to be coming to see us during these wonderful times.
And let's greet another caller, shall we? We have Wendy, I believe, is on the phone. Wendy, you have a question for the chief. You're on Ask the Chief. Go right ahead.
Hi. I've been watching the show, and I think it's so terrific, and I just want to thank the Santa Monica Police for doing such a great job. I feel so safe in this community. So thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. We're happy to do it.
Oh, great. Well, I had a question. I am living between the Bergamont station and the 17th Street station. I can actually see the subway from my apartment go by.
Okay.
And I wondered if it's going to be running 24 hours and if there's going to be like manned police force at the station.
Okay, well, let me put you to rest that you will be able to sleep at night. It will not be running 24 hours a day. I believe revenue service will start fairly early in the morning, and I believe it stops around 2 a.m. or midnight 2 a.m. You know, there'll always be some degree of flex because depending on the crowds that have to be moved and returned to their various originating points, they may have to add additional trains or have service go just a bit later. As far as it relates to police officers on the platforms, the Sheriff's Department has primary jurisdiction for the platforms and for service on the train. However, we will be working in direct partnership with them to be sure that it is a seamless transition for people who need police services, whether from the Sheriff's Department or the City of Santa Monica. So you can rest assured there will be a strong police presence on the train, around the platforms, and in the adjacent areas where there's a bike path and other avenues where we need to be concerned that public safety is important around the train.
And just to follow up on that, so what advice or what thoughts would you have for maybe people who have never used public transit before, and there are a lot of them here in LA, and they want to maybe take the train into Santa Monica for one of the Pier concerts, and they know they're going to have to come home at night, and maybe they're a little concerned about it?
Okay, well, the advice would be start early, because those concerts are very well attended, and so you wouldn't want 4 or 5 trains to pass you by and you can't get on because the trains are jammed full. So I would just say give yourself plenty of time to make the experience a positive one. You don't want to feel rushed and the like, and then when you get into town, if it's a little bit early, we have lots of restaurants and fun things to do in town. And then enjoy the concert. The concerts are well policed, but not in that way that feels oppressive or anything like that. So there should be no concern about that. And then you can decide after the concerts are over whether you want to get on the train and go immediately back, or if you want to enjoy dinner and, you know, maybe a drink or two, nothing wrong with that, and then get on the train to go back. But there's nothing really to be overly concerned about. I think the experience can be a very positive one if people just are mindful that, you know, you don't want to be pressed for time, because I think that's going to be the biggest issue.
Right. And we do have another caller. I believe we have Debbie on the line. Debbie?
I think Debbie hung up.
Maybe we'll try to get Debbie back. You mentioned the Santa Monica, the Pier concerts.
Yes.
I really like how you have the police, the mounted patrols there. What is their role there? Is it kind of PR, or do they have a real police and law enforcement function at the concerts?
Well, it's a little bit of both. Everyone loves our horses, and so clearly the PR benefit accrues to us because of that. And it's really hard for people to get all angry when there's these really neat looking horses that are just kind of walking along the beach. But make no mistake, that's a tool. And the officers on horseback have an opportunity to have a very clear view over the course of a lot of people, where officers similarly positioned but on foot wouldn't have that same view, because the officers sit up high, 15, 20 hands. So when you think about that in terms of a horse, that's another 6 to 8 feet that they're off the ground, that they can have a visual platform. So that helps. And then two, no one wants to get stepped on by a horse that weighs a good amount of money. So they're a very effective crowd control tool. To our credit, so far, we've not had to use them in that way, but they are very well trained, and they do understand how to maneuver the horses in the event that that kind of activity is required.
And it is I've seen that one time. I was in Mardi Gras, and a woman passed out, and so it was so densely crowded. The police horses came in, and they just sort of slowly walked side to side, and people just move right out of the way. So if that ever is needed, they're great for crowd clearing areas, right?
Yes, and it's more effective, and it feels a little more comfortable than a series of officers coming out and kind of
trying to get out of here.
Well, we don't say that, but wearing, if we need to use shields and things like that in order to move a crowd, it works a lot better to have the horse. It's just that user-friendly approach that we like to utilize.
I do want to talk about Coast, because that sounds like a big event. Sunday, June 5th, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Can you tell us a little bit about that for people who don't know it?
Well, it's a replacement activity for what used to be the Santa Monica Festival, and instead of having the series of booths and information focus that the previous event at Clover Park had, this is going to be an opportunity for that process to be reimagined a bit. So it's going to be downtown primarily, and it's an opportunity for people to use what we call multimodal transportation. So that means biking, walking, skating, skateboarding, but no cars in the downtown area, just to take advantage of the wonderful opportunities to chat with people, visit the restaurants, engage the farmers market, all of that kind of thing. And it's just that opportunity that also allows us to link those activities with the Esplanade and also with Metro Rail.
And the Breeze bikes, I see them everywhere
Those
now.
are so cool.
So we'll see a lot of those at the Coast Festival.
I'm sure you will.
How's the Breeze bike running? Is any?
Seems to be running just fine. I got a chance to ride one and I loved it. And then I happened to be in another area of the state and they had them and I'm like, oh my God, there's those green bicycles that Santa Monica has and we have them and oh, it's wonderful. And some of the friends I was with looked at me like I was crazy, but you know that was a whole nother story. But you know, it's great to find joy in small things like that. And I got a chance to ride one here in town when they first came to town, and they're really nice. They're ergonomically comfortable, and so I think it's a great way to encourage people to move around town while minimizing some of the traffic congestion.
Fantastic. Chief, we do have to take another quick break,
Sure.
so stay with us. Thank you very much for all the great information that you've given our viewers already and for taking the calls. And while we're in break, we do want to get some more phone calls, so if you have a question for the Chief, call us at 310-458-4950. We'll be right back with more Ask the Chief.
It's a wireless world out there, so be sure to stay connected with Santa Monica. Follow us on Twitter for the latest announcements. Receive instant updates on activities citywide. Like us on Facebook and join in on the conversation. Stay connected with your city. And don't miss a tweet.
Where is this guy? So thirsty.
I hear he travels from the north.
Look!
That one's really dry.
LA is in a drought, yet over half of our drinking water is being used for landscaping. But it doesn't have to be that way. Just 1 inch of rain can yield thousands of gallons of water for use in landscaping and saves drinking water for drinking. Rain barrels, cisterns, and curb cuts are just a few ways to save water and energy. For more, visit LADWP and the Bay Foundation online.
When you're finished with your food or beverage cartons, toss it in the recycling bin. Because every carton is recyclable and can be turned into useful paper products. Put your carton in the bin with your other recyclables and let them start a new life. When the contents are gone, let the carton live on. Recycle your cartons.
Jamie Lee Curtis here with a friendly reminder from the Santa Monica Police Department. Drinking alcohol and driving is illegal. So make good choices. Back of the squad car or back of the cab. Choose your ride.
And welcome back to Ask the Chief Live. We are in studio with Santa Monica Police Chief Jacqueline Seabrooks. The Chief is answering questions from the community on a wide range of topics. Thank you again very much for taking all these great questions.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a
You
it's a
know
pleasure.
so much. It's amazing.
I
Your
should,
depth
I'm
of
the
knowledge.
chief.
I guess so, yeah. But I'm still impressed. Okay.
Well, thank you.
First question is, what is the Santa Monica Police Department doing to keep pace with the rapid race in technology that's happening all over the world, especially here in Silicon Beach?
Well, law enforcement is changing across the globe, so to speak, and we're becoming much more technology driven. So even as there's the call for body-worn cameras in many jurisdictions, we are implementing a pilot program, and we're in the policy development phase and anticipate going live within 30 to 45 days with the pilot program so that we can measure the efficacy of a body-worn camera program here in Santa Monica with our police officers and our civilian field personnel. We're also taking a look at new handheld devices because the state of the law in California is such that we have to do data capture on stops to be able to ensure that bias is not creeping into the policing function. So with that in mind, what we've done is we've acquired a technology that we think will address many of the needs that we have. And it's just a little small handheld device that we will issue to our field personnel so that we can capture information about traffic stops, contacts, all of that, but at the same time, not just have a device that is limited in scope in terms of what it can do, because we also want a device that will make the officers' work more effective. So we can do automated citations, automated parking citations. They can do a degree of field contact information. They would be able to do certain report writing. They can engage in permit checking. They can access computer databases for criminal history information and things like that. So we're really looking to implement a very robust technology program in the form of a handheld device. And then recently, through our capital improvement process, we are acquiring new in-car cameras, new mobile digital computers, which are the computers that are in our police cars. So we really are taking a very ground-up look at how technology can help us to become a more effective policing, public safety, crime-fighting entity.
I definitely want to follow up on the Warren body cameras in a moment, but first I believe we do have a caller. I think Robin is on the line. Robin, you are on live with the chief. Go ahead with your question.
Hi, Robin.
Hi.
How are you? Welcome to Ask the Chief.
Thank you.
Go right ahead, Robin.
Okay, what I'm wanting to know is my daughter's very interested in becoming a police officer. I wondered what advice you would give her.
I would tell her, if she's interested, follow your dream and apply with the Santa Monica Police Department. And if you contact our personnel and training section, we'll be more than happy to talk with her about opportunities with the Santa Monica Police Department, talk about the testing process with her, and to ensure that she is in the process. I would also, in the short run, suggest that she take a look at our website to get information about the process and what it entails. And I hope she's successful.
I knew that was going to be a popular question. I really did, yeah, because it does. I think a lot of people are very interested in that. So back to the body cameras. In general, what are the benefits of implementing a program like that?
Well, in this day and age where there's an increased call for transparency and an increased expectation that police departments implement technologies that are designed to ensure the best behavior in comportment with the Constitution of the police officers, but also with the citizenry. This is a great way for us to capture the array of activities that our officers engage in, to assess how things turn out in the field for purposes of identifying potential training needs relative to the employee or relative to the entirety of the department. And quite frankly, I think everyone has seen some of the more tragic things that have been happening across the country as it relates to law enforcement, and it's an excellent way to engage our community on the kinds of services that we as a police department provide and how we may be different from the police departments that they're familiar with, and clearly how we are different from those police departments that have had more tragic circumstances where the integrity of the police function in the particular community has come under question.
So overall, how committed are you and the Santa Monica PD to technological advancement in law enforcement?
Well, I think we are one of the agencies that was at the forefront of implementing technology. I remember when I came on the organization in 1982, and everything was typewriters and Xerox machines.
I remember those.
And then I remember we went to a few of the computers around the building, and they were these monstrosities,
right?
You know, by current definition. Right. And then now, you know, you can't walk in our building and not see a computer on a desk. We have smartphones that we issue to staff. We do automated citation writers now, and we are consistently on the look for technology, not for the sake of implementing technology, but technology that makes us work smarter and more effectively for our community. And I will say that technology is one of the driving forces that support the policing function these days. And I'm committed to ensuring that, as is reasonable and appropriate, we implement those technologies which help us work smarter for our community. They're entitled to it.
Fantastic, fantastic. Personal question. If you didn't choose law enforcement as a vocation, what do you think you might have done?
Be on the Supreme Court.
Nice. Something with the law then.
Yes. You know, at a point in time, I thought pursuing my dream of being an attorney was it. But then somehow or another, I got introduced to law enforcement, and I really love the idea of taking the law at its basic level and making it real in terms of the enforcement and putting people in jail who need to go to jail because they're taking advantage of other people or harming other people. And what I see is police work is that way that you take the law and you make it real for people on a day-to-day basis for the betterment of a community, the betterment of a county, the betterment of a state, the betterment of a country in the long run. So if I weren't wearing a uniform and doing it this way, I would probably have been an attorney, and I would hope to be sitting on the bench. I joke about the Supreme Court, but I would hope to be on the bench. And I figure since I'm at this particular juncture, it only makes sense that I would be a judge somewhere.
I get it, totally. I do want to remind our viewers that the phone lines are open and that the chief is ready to answer your questions. And if you live or work in Santa Monica and you've always been wondering about something like how to get out of a parking ticket, give us a call at 310-458-4950. All topics are welcome. And we do actually have a caller. I believe we have Debbie on the line. Debbie, you are on with the chief. Go right ahead.
Hi, Debbie. Are you there, Debbie?
We can hear you, Debbie.
Yes.
Go ahead with your question.
Hi.
Yes, I'm just concerned about the homeless in Santa Monica.
Okay, what do you want to talk about more specifically?
Well, I just think there are way too many people on the streets in Santa Monica. It's a beautiful city. I mean, I'm walking around. They're on the benches with blankets. I just am very concerned.
And I believe you're right to be concerned. You know, we as a community are concerned as well, and the police department is certainly concerned. But we have to draw a very fine line. Being homeless in and of itself is not criminal, but there are behaviors that we have to be on the lookout for, and we also have to protect the homeless population against those folks who would seek to prey upon them, because a lot of our homeless population has mental health challenges or other challenges that may present a concern for the police department. But the city is committed much more broadly to ensuring that to the degree possible we provide the level of assistance to the people who find themselves living on the street to ensure that housing first becomes a priority, and then a continuum of care to get people off the street, get them the services that they need, and get them in residence as soon as possible. But unfortunately, it is a societal problem. It is not unique to Santa Monica. And of the cities that I've visited and the people that I've talked to and the places that I've studied, I think we have a very comprehensive model for attempting to address the problem, and we're seeking to become regional leaders in resolving, I'm not saying solving, but resolving what is essentially a crisis involving the homeless.
Great. Thank you for your call, Debbie. We have another caller on the line. I believe Greg is with us now. Greg, you are live on Ask the Chief. Go ahead with your question.
Hi, Greg.
Hi. I'm new to the area, and I heard about this Twilight concert series, and I was just kind of curious about some details and how you might, run security for with all the extra people around the area.
Sure. The Twilight series has been going on for, I want to say, 25 years or so. It started off as a very small event happening on the Santa Monica Pier, and in recent years it's gained in popularity, and we sometimes draw crowds of up to 30,000 people. When I returned to the city as the police chief in 2012, I took a look at how we were serving as a very large draw for this wonderful series of concerts. But I was a bit astonished that we were attempting to do it on our own. So we engaged in a contract with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, and the Santa Monica Police Department and the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department worked together to provide security at the event, making sure that we have adequate resources on the beach to police a crowd of substantial size, that we have access to additional resources should the circumstances so warrant. And because the goal at the end of the day is to ensure that the concert series remains a very safe activity for the people who choose to visit us and hear wonderful music on the beach.
Awesome. Thank you for your question, Greg. I have a question for you. This is an election year. So California is a very important state, obviously as an electorate, but also for fundraising. Do you anticipate a lot of dignitary visits this year, especially leading up to the election? And if so, how much work or preparation does that require?
Yes, and a lot.
Yeah.
But it's nothing new to the Santa Monica Police Department. This city has been a draw for dignitaries of various levels of government and internationally for a number of years. So we have very strong relationships with the Secret Service, and we ensure that we work very closely with them whenever we have those visits. We have a unit, the Planning and Intelligence Unit, which works very closely with the Secret Service when we have dignitary visits. And most recently, we had folks coming to see us from New Zealand and elsewhere, and they have a great time. I understand that earlier in the summer, President Obama's daughter, I believe the older one is Malia, she was here in town, and we've actually had President Obama visit several years ago. So, and I've at the time I extended a welcome to him to the community, and equally asked if he and the First Lady should ever find themselves on this coast again, if they would give us another visit. So, all things being equal, we're prepared for that. We have a history of successfully providing for a safe environment for those visitors, and anybody who wants to visit is welcome to come on down.
And President Obama was here. He didn't stop in Santa Monica, I don't think, but I came out of the Apple store on the promenade, this is maybe 4 or 5 months ago, and everybody was standing around, and this huge motorcade went by. It must have been 35 vehicles, and a lot of SMPDs were there too, so I think it was, I'm 90% sure it was the president.
Probably was. You know, and the nice part, you know, with our airport here, a lot of times Marine One will, Air Force One will land at LAX, and Marine One will helicopter him here, and then he goes off to whatever location, sometimes in town, sometimes not. You know, if I really think back on the number of dignitaries that we've had in town, it's been fairly substantial just in the last 4 years. And then, rather tragically, but in a different way, we were able to assist the Secret Service with Mrs. Reagan's services. So that brought a number of dignitaries into town very recently.
At the library?
Well, the funeral service was at the library, but originally she was actually here in state before she was transported to the library for the services. So we did that both for her and for her husband when President Reagan passed away. So we have a very strong history and very solid working relationship with the law enforcement entities that are responsible for that level of protection. And you know, I hope that folks will still consider this a viable place to visit, because it really puts us on the map, and it helps us to refine a skill set that makes us better in providing the routine services, because there's a different level of elevated service when folks come to town.
Sure. Well, a fun question for you. I was at the Montana Holiday Walk the first Friday in December this past year, and you were there on the sidewalk, and I thought it was a rock star because you were just mobbed. You were mobbed with people and kids and you know, adults that just wanted to say hi to you and talk to you. In a social setting like that, is it totally appropriate to come up to the police chief and just chat with you? And if so, what do people call you? Chief or?
They typically call me Chief.
Is that fair? Is that?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Or they'll call me Chief Jackie if it's little kids.
Okay.
And it's absolutely appropriate. I mean, as we say, we are our community, and our community is us. And so I think it's a wonderful opportunity for people to get to know me, and I get to see them. Kids will tell me, "Oh, I saw you at our school speaking," and some of the kids did that because I'd been at some of the schools in the period of time immediately prior to that, and it's great. It can sometimes be a little awkward, but all things being equal, I relish it, I love it. I want people to feel comfortable. Now that's very different than if I or you know another officer is busy in the course of policing.
Right.
But I do have to tell a quick funny story. Captain and I were going to lunch the other day, and there was a traffic violation that was so egregious, we just had to engage in the enforcement stop. And the captain walked up to the car, and he's speaking to the woman, and I'm standing at the passenger door, as good officer safety says I should. And she turned around and she saw me, and she looked and she goes, "That's Chief Seabrooks."
No way.
Yeah, she did.
She
and she says, "I want the chief to write my ticket."
Want your autograph.
She really wanted it, but I declined because there was just a little too much eagerness in that. And you know, we gave her a very stern warning about the traffic violation and reminded her of her obligations to be safe, and we went on our way. But we both laughed as we got back in the car, because that's one of those moments where, okay, it would have been helpful if it was just we were the police, but you know, I understand. But it's great to have that level of relationship where people feel comfortable coming up to their police chief, talking about happy holidays, and we wear little red noses and all kinds of things in the holiday spirit.
Chief, it's been a great pleasure. You've given us tremendous information tonight. Thank you for patiently taking all of our callers. Thanks to all of our callers who called in, and all the questions from the community. I think it was really good.
Okay.
So we are out of time. Did you have a good time tonight?
I had a good time, and we'll have to do this again.
Let's do it again. We're going to hold you to that. Absolutely. I did as well. Okay, thanks everybody for watching. If you would like to follow Chief Seabrooks on Twitter, you can do so at Santa Monica COP.
Yes.
Is that right? All
yes,
right, good.
Is.
And we'll see you all soon again for another episode of Ask the Chief. I didn't get to ask.